All right. Hello, everyone. Morgan Heitzma here with Scott Leroy Marketing, and today's class is going to be about Docusign 201. Now, last Friday, we had Docusign 101, and I know in the chat box down below, I did go a little bit quick for you guys. So to kind of make up for that here today, I'm going to run through a little bit of what we kind of talked about not yesterday, but last Friday. And then we'll get up to speed, and then we'll kind of show you some additional tips and tricks that we kind of left out on Docusign 101. Now, as you can kind of see my screen right here, we are on the KW command login page. We're going to be bouncing around between the KW command platform as well as the Docusign platform. So we are going to be inside of both of these here today. But before I jump right in, I do want to let you know that today's class is going to be recorded. You can find it on our YouTube page by going to youtube.com/Scott Leroy Marketing. And I'll paste that link in the chat box down below for you. Now, throughout today's training, if you have any questions, please feel free to use this chat box down below. I'll be sure to monitor this as we're moving along here. And hopefully try to address those questions in real time. Now, if by chance I miss any questions as we're going through this training here today, just know that I'm going to spend a few minutes after class to kind of help answer those additional questions. And by chance, if I somehow miss your question completely, please note that you can always reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com with any additional questions, issues, things like that. So as we are taking a look here today, I'm going to go ahead and use Scott's login. The KW command platform is going to be agent.kw.com. This is your very first time. So it's going to take your KW username and password, which is generally the first letter of your first name, followed by your last name. If it's a pretty common combination like John Smith, you may have a number associated at the end here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and sign in underneath Scott Leroy. So for today's demonstration, keep in mind, since I'm in Scott's account, we're going to use Scott as the agent. So taking a look here, I know this is kind of zoomed out a little bit. Let me zoom this in so we can kind of see this a little bit easier here. And we're greeted with our KW command homepage here. Now, if you were with us last week, we are needing to set up a few connections first before we actually jump into our Docusign. And our Docusign is typically going to live inside of our opportunities. So if we go ahead and click on the red KW square in the top left-hand corner here, you should be able to see the opportunities page open up right here. It's going to look like two people shaking hands. But there's going to be two sets of connections that we're going to need to create or connect first. The first one's going to be creating your KW branded Docusign account. And the second one is going to be creating a contact. Finally, after connecting your Docusign and creating a contact, you would simply create an opportunity, which is a transaction, and you'll be able to connect your Docusign there to send out documents. Now, first and foremost, taking a look at this right here, we're going to click on our name on the top right-hand corner. It's going to bring up a drop down here, and we're going to choose the settings option right here. And within our settings page on the right-hand side, you'll have a number of different third-party applications that if you're already currently utilizing these, we can go ahead and connect them. So for example, if I already have a Twitter account created that I'm utilizing, I can go ahead and connect that right here. Today's demonstration, we really want to focus on the Docusign section. Much like how I said, if you have it, you can connect it, but the Docusign connection right here is going to act a little bit differently than the rest of them. And with this, this is actually how we create our KW branded Docusign account. Because the KW branded Docusign account will have something called Docusign rooms. Regular or free or paid premium Docusign accounts from Docusign.com will unfortunately not have the Docusign rooms functionality. So the only way to get that and the only way to connect it within our KW command is by going to our settings inside of command to send that registration through. Now, when we take a look at this right here, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. And you should find your DocuSign underneath a title, Digital Signature and Transactions right here. So this will be the very first time that we see this. It's not quite connected yet, but as we are taking a look, we can click on this blue Connect Account button, and it'll give us a pop-up here. Now, we always kind of stress that the Google Chrome browser is going to be the best browser to use, because we've seen certain browsers like Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, not quite give these pop-ups right here. So if you're not seeing this pop-up when you go to connect your account, chances are you may be utilizing a web browser that may not be quite as compatible as a Google Chrome browser. Now, as we are taking a look at this right here, you'll realize that we have a first name, last name, and our preferred email. If we think in the world of logins and connections, we're actually missing a password right here. So by taking a look at this right here, think of this as setting up half of your KW branded DocuSign account. So we got our name and our email. Once we click send registration email, DocuSign's going to send an email to this account right here to allow you to create a password as well as a security question. Once that password and that security question has been created, then we'll just simply come back here and you may have one final authorize button to connect that full circle. Now, if you already have a personal DocuSign account, or you paid for a premium DocuSign account outside of KW or outside of KW Command right here, if I were to go ahead and try to use this email address, if it's already connected to another DocuSign account, you will get a ugly red error down below right here stating that this email is already associated with a incompatible account. So we have to use an email address that has not yet been connected to any other DocuSign account just yet. Now, once we go through that process and we authorize, it should be connected, but every once in a while when we deal with technology, there could be something that happens that, I don't know, maybe disconnects this, or maybe say your DocuSign isn't working the way you'd like it to, so you want to disconnect and reconnect it. As we are taking a look right here on this same pop-up page right here, if you already have a KW Docusign account right here, we can bypass the send registration email and we can just simply click log in here. Now, since I already have a DocuSign account, I can click log in here. I can simply type in my email address. I can click log into DocuSign. And depending on how long it's been since I've been inside of DocuSign, it may give me one more pop-up here to fill in my password. Again, I believe it's kind of time sensitive, so if it just bypasses this, then that's perfectly fine. But more often than not, it may ask you to fill in your password here. Once you fill in your password, click sign in, and you'll get this blue banner up here that says DocuSign is now ready and can be used within your opportunities. So that's the first connection right here. The second connection, again, is going to be creating a contact. Now, again, I know that there's a full in-depth contact class for us. So just know that if I'm going a little too quickly on here, there is an in-depth class on database management where you can go and create a contact, create tags, and learn about the contact's profile. So as we're taking a look right here, since this is primarily a DocuSign class, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a sample contact right here. So I'm going to go type in my name. And I'm going to just use this contact right here and create an opportunity. So as I jump in right here, it looks like I already have one opportunity for this contact, but I'm going to create a secondary opportunity so we can just jump into a DocuSign from scratch here. So as we are creating an opportunity for this contact, I'm just going to make it very simple, just a listing. I'm going to type in 123 Main Street. And then I'll just go ahead and create this here. Now, again, we have classes on all of these here, how to create an opportunity, how to create a contact. So again, just know that we have those live trainings as well. But I'm gonna click on that 123 Main Street that I just created here. And when you create an opportunity, again, think of it as your transaction, right? So everything that I do from this point onward is going to be for this one opportunity, this 123 Main Street from my seller, Morgan Heitzma. As we're taking a look inside of this opportunity right here, we can follow the details, seller profile, marketing, and documents right here. So we can follow this menu bar all the way to the documents in order to kind of jump into our document section for this opportunity. Now, as we're taking a look right here, this is a brand new opportunity, so there's nothing really inside of here. The first thing that we need to do is we need to select which checklist type we want to utilize. So is this a residential listing? Is this a commercial listing, right? So, and again, from this point onward, if you don't have this many drop downs, right? If yours looks a little bit different, keep in mind that your market center is the one that creates these checklists, okay? So I'm not expecting you guys to see exactly what I'm seeing right here, but I'm going to choose residential listing. And once you choose your checklist type right here, you'll have listed, under contract, and closed. And this is where we go to submit our documents to our market center. Once we drag and drop a file right here from our computer, we can click submit to market center. But what I'm really focused on is this button right next to submit to market center, the start a transaction button. Now, the start a transaction button will only appear if we've successfully connected our Docusign within our settings right here. So taking a look, since we have already went through that process of disconnecting and reconnecting, we do see this here, and it shows up in a gray button, a dark gray button. There's two colors that this button will show. It'll be a dark gray button, or it'll be a white button with a blue text right here. So the dark gray button is an indicator that you do have Docusign successfully connected in your settings. However, there is not yet a Docusign room connected to this account or connected to this opportunity. So once we click start a transaction right here, it'll give us a pop-up in a new tab to jump into our Docusign room. It'll also change this button color to blue right here, which is an indicator that you do have a Docusign room successfully connected. So let's test this out right here. We'll click on start a transaction. We'll choose our Docusign right here. It should give us a new tab. There we go. And it'll give us a brand new room. Now, again, keep in mind that if you guys have a blank room, if documents don't automatically populate, that's perfectly fine. Again, each market center is set up a little bit differently. But the main point is getting into this Docusign room right here. So again, I'm going to zoom up just a little bit for us. There we go. And inside of this Docusign room, much like your opportunity here, your details, seller profile, marketing, see how this menu is a little bit towards the kind of center top here instead of the very top. You'll also see that right here inside of your Docusign rooms as well. So your menu buttons are going to be right down here. These menu options are specific to this one opportunity, this one transaction. You also see that all the information that this opportunity had right here. So I'm going to go back to the details of this opportunity. All the information that we filled out about the seller, about the listing, is going to automatically sync up with this Docusign room right here. So what's really cool is we can actually go to the details tab right here, right next to documents. And this should pull up that information that we've entered in. So 123 Main Street on the listing side. It'll also show your market center name. So again, if you belong to more than one market center and you're sending opportunities to each market center, this is an indication on where you're sending that opportunity to. As we scroll down right here on the right hand side, you'll have some other bits of information that automatically pull in. Say like the seller name, right? Seller phone number, all of the seller information that you would typically need on a form or document. You have seller 1, seller 2, listing agent 1, and you see it fills in Scott's information because we're in Scott's account. Listing agent 2, buyer 1, buyer 2, buyer agent 1, buyer agent 2, and I believe you have your buyer and listing brokers. And then on the left-hand side right here, you'll have some additional information. You have property details. You'll have just your generic additional information. You'll also have your closing details, high bid confirmation, offer details. So you can really fill in all of this information. And what it should do is it should auto-populate onto these forms that you're pulling in from DocuSign. So unlike a PDF, which is kind of like basically a picture of a document, right? It's uneditable. DocuSign has these things called power forms. And as long as you're pulling in a power form or using a power form, all of this information will automatically place where it needs to be on that form. So let's kind of check that out here. Inside the details, I'm just going to move back over to the Documents tab. I'm going to select any one of these documents right here. What we're typically going to look for is either the seller information or the listing agent information, because I know that we at least have that info populated on our details here. So this looks like a pretty easy form to kind of read. Let's go ahead and give this a click here. And as you see, it pulled in that information where it needed to go. So right here, pulled in Scott Leroy as that listing agent. So again, any other additional information that we wanted to fill out right here, we can do that as well. So street address, 123 Main Street. And so on. And once you edit this, you can save and close, and it should apply that information there as well. So these power forms, you can really just edit as well as collect information based off of the Details tab. Now, what is a power form? How can we identify a power form? That's going to be on the bottom right-hand corner of these documents right here. You'll see that you'll have a little icon of a document. You'll also see a blue background with the text form right here. I know it's a little bit hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom up a little bit more. There we go. So this is what it's really going to look like right here. And as we kind of give that a look, in order to kind of get these power forms or have these power forms populate inside of your DocuSign forms, this is where it's going to populate, but we kind of need to connect our forms first in order for them to show up here. So let's go ahead and connect that first. And we can do so by clicking on our name or our headshot, our initials on the top right-hand corner right here. And inside of our DocuSign rooms, clicking on our headshot, it'll give us a drop down here, and we're going to choose Preferences. And inside of Preferences here on the left-hand side, there's going to be a small little box right here. We're going to choose Integrations. Now, inside of Integrations, there's a couple options to choose between. If you don't have anything pull up right here, you may have a blue button that says Add Provider. Now, when we click Add Provider, it'll pull up your boards. Now, as we take a look right here, if you don't see your board showing up, we may want to check the Realtor Association right here, or it may show a number of different Realtor Associations. Now, if you have a different board right here, we can go ahead and select that and go ahead and connect. There's going to be one other connection, which is going to be your Market Center forms. So you have your board forms and you have your Market Center forms. To connect your Market Center forms, there's going to be a small little piece of text down here that's going to be clickable that says continue to company forms without validation. And when we give that a click right here, it'll actually pull up this thing that you're seeing. It'll pull up this section, and it'll just indicate that you do have your Market Center forms connected. Now, if you belong to California or if you use Zip Forms, right? We have that connection up top here for you. So Zip Forms is going to have its own little section up top here. We can go ahead and give this a click. We can connect our username and our password. And then this will allow us to be able to pull from our transactions folders or our zip form library. So you can simply pull those forms into your DocuSign room, fill them out, much like how you saw me enter in that 123 Main Street, and then send them off to get signatures. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for you grabbing your documents, filling them out, getting them signed, and having them come back. So once we have this connected right here, and I don't quite have a NRDS ID, so we'll use our imagination and pretend like I connected this right here. But once we have this connected, your realtor association will show up right here as well. Now making our way back to our rooms here at 123 Main Street. Now, taking a look here at going back to our 123 Main Street, where it should typically always pull you into would be the documents section right here. So anytime we go back to, say, our opportunity here, and we go to our documents and jump into our go to transaction, should almost always pull us into our document section. And as you see right here, we land in this documents. Now, if we click add right here, again, you can add your DocuSign forms, you can add your zip forms, you can add forms from your computer as well as some other digital like storages. We're going to click on DocuSign forms right here. And this is going to pull up your packets as well as your libraries right here. So these are going to be where we can kind of grab our forms from. I'll just click on this form right here, and we can just add selected. And it'll pull our form in here for us. So again, we can do this to a number of different forms here. I believe the only stipulation is we cannot pull in multiple forms of the same form. So yeah, so as long as we're able to kind of see this right here, as you saw that I pulled in this CAR blank addendum, amendment addendum, we see that we have a label right here that says in use. So again, it also does not allow me to click it to add again into my my room right here. So as we're kind of taking a look right here, we can only pull in one form. If you're wondering what form to use, so as you see, I have a CAR, a blank amendment addendum, and then I have a blank amendment addendum 2. If I wanted to identify what these look like, I can click on these eyeballs right here. So here's this, just a sample. And here's another one right here. So if I needed to actually pull in that second addendum, I can do so here. So, I have some documents that I pulled in right here. Again, if I wanted to send these out for signatures, and the signatures came back signed, everything will end up in this folder here. And as you can kind of see, it can start to get filled up pretty quickly. So we'll start to kind of collect signed and unsigned documents in this section here. We actually call this a folder. And you can identify it by this small little section right here that says room docs. That's the title of this folder. And you also have a folder icon. We can kind of give that a click and we can open and close each folder. So if I were to close this folder for a second here, we can kind of go ahead and take a look at this actions button, this blue button right next to the add button. When we give this a click, it gives us an option to add another folder. So I can click add folder, and maybe I want to label this folder signed. So we'll write signed docs right here. So now we actually have a folder that we can store signed documents, and we can store our unsigned documents, the documents we're still working on. Pretty cool. And how you move these around is, let me open both of these again, is simply just like a click, hold, and drag. So this is how we move files from one folder to another inside of our 123 Main Street. Now that we have some files in here, and I know we went through the signing process in DocuSign 101, but again, I wanted to kind of go through that one more time for you guys. As we kind of are taking a look at some of these documents right here, if I'm ready to send these out to my clients to get signatures, we can simply take a look at any of these documents that we're looking to send out. Let me use this one as an example here. We can simply click on the checkbox on the top left-hand corner of the document. And what this will do is this will open up a new menu option right here for us. So I'm going to uncheck and recheck a couple times so we can kind of see that disappear and reappear for us. So it only appears when a form has been selected. And when we select a form right here, we're actually going to be looking for the middle button that looks like a pen right here. And when we hover over this, this says Create Envelope. Now, I always like to state that that when we're taking a look and we're going through the signing process in DocuSign, I like to identify this very similar to the vernaculars of a physical letter that you're going to be mailing out. So for example, as we have the form right here, when we hover over this and it says create envelope, what this truly means is we're going to be emailing this out to our clients. But they use the term envelope, much like as this was a physical mail that we're sent. So I'm going to click on create envelope right here. There's a new update that recently took place. I probably believe about 6 months ago or so, and it really allowed us to kind of automatically pull in who we're sending these documents to. Now it looks like I only had one individual that pulled in. I believe that was Scott as the listing agent that was pulled into this document right here. So so it didn't quite pull up that option for us to auto populate who we're sending this to. However, I will show you guys here in a But following this along here, we do have that document that we pulled in. And the first section is going to state which documents are going to be in this email for your clients to sign. And if we click on this right here, we can view it, make sure it is the correct document right here. And we can go ahead and upload any other documents that we want as well. Say we forgot one in our room. We can go ahead and click this upload button. We can click add room documents right here. And again, there's those two files that we have, the regular room docs and then new sign docs. When we give this a click here, we can simply choose any form that is already inside of our room. So let me click on that blank addendum, amendment number 2 right here. And you'll see that that will pull in as well for us. And seeing as how we have 2 signers now, I believe this one has, yep, so you have your buyer and your seller. So it pre-populated a second signing selection for us down below. Now I'm going to use just these 2 documents right here. I think that's perfectly fine for us. So we can kind of see what 2 documents look like getting signed. But again, just note that you do have additional options as well. You can browse from your computer. You can use a template. You can select any of these other Google Drive or OneDrive, Dropbox, things like that. But scrolling down here, your second option is going to be your recipients, aka who are we sending this to? Who needs to sign this document right here? Now, for our example here, it looks like we have quite a bit. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different signers. But again, for this example, I think I'm going to stick with 2 signers here, just to make things a little bit easier. As you see right here, we have buyer 1, buyer 2. We can go ahead and customize that, but again, that's perfectly fine for now. when we go ahead and select a name and an email address, it should auto-populate with that client's information. If not, we can type it in. So again, keep in mind, as we are inside of Scott Leroy's command here, and in Scott's opportunity, Morgan Heitzma is going to be the client. So it automatically populated, there we go, automatically populated the client's information in this section, because that's who we're typically working with since we created the opportunity for this individual. So, so it's really cool here. I can just simply click on this and it'll pull in the name and the email address. We can, of course, edit or adjust this if there's something incorrect. If there's an incorrect email address, keep in mind, check your details tab that we were just inside of, right? And check your opportunity. Those are the two sections that information may be pulling from, and that may be where that error or that incorrect info is. Now, as we take a look right here, just again for demonstration purposes, pretend like this is the the seller and the listing agent, right? So as we're taking a look right here, see how Scott's information does not pull in. As we start typing out, though, it'll start to pull in and search based off of our contacts inside of our DocuSign. And I'll be sure to kind of show us how to add contacts, as well as how to invite, say, maybe other team members or transaction coordinators to help you with your document. So it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Now, as we are taking a look right here, we have a number of different Scotts. So I may have to be a little bit more granular. Let me type in Scott Leroy. And as this loads up here, we should start to see some more Scott Leroy's right here. So let's go ahead and select Scott at scottleroymarketing.com. And so now we have two individuals that are going to be signing this document right here. Now, I mentioned this last Friday because I think it's so important to note. As we are going through and as we are dealing with technology, sometimes technology may not always be set up the way that we intend them to. So with that being said, I also want to mention that there may be a small little technical glitch or error when it comes to adding these recipients right here. And I'm about to show you what that looks like. On the left-hand side right here, we have set signing order. And as you see, this is going to be signer number 1, aka this email is going to be sent to this person first. And once they're done signing, it's going to be sent over to signer number 2. If I were to add another recipient, once this person's done, then it's going to send over to signer number 3. And then once the document is completed, it'll send a hard copy of everybody's signatures to you as well as everyone. But as we're taking a look at this right here, say I accidentally added this wrong, and say that I need Scott to be the very first signer. As I move Scott up to the top right here, there's going to be a small little technical error when it comes to the signing order. By moving Scott up to signer number 1 right here, there we go. By moving Scott up to signer number 1, see how it kind of slides him back down? So you have Scott Leroy here as number 1, but you also have a situation where it kind of will add a secondary error. Do you see how it kind of shows 2 signer number 1s now? We want to make sure that this is in one steady flowing motion when it comes to like your signing timeline. So this may cause an error if I don't catch that they are both signer number 1s. So just something to kind of keep in mind as we kind of, again, as we're moving this around. Look, you see how every single signer is signer number 1 now, which means everybody will get this document at the same exact time. So, so just be mindful. If this does happen, we can very easily change this. So again, signer number 2 right here. And let's try that again. Signer number 2, and then signer number 3. So, so you can change it manually, but I did want to at least highlight that section there for you because I do see that could cause some errors when you're sending that out. Now, once we have all of our signers here, Let me delete that third one. Once we have all of our signers here, we can kind of scroll down and we can kind of view this last section, which is going to be what the email looks like. So the first section is going to be the subject line of the email. And then the second section is going to be a small little message. And truth be told, DocuSign does a pretty good job of setting up a nice email to send to your clients as is. However, if you want to add a little bit more context to what your client is signing, you can go ahead and enter this in here. Let's write addendum right here. As we are taking a look, let me adjust this email address right here. Say this is my old email address. I can actually type in say like a new email address, and then everything should stay in that consistent order right there. So I'm going to hit next right here. On this final page is going to have us be able to apply any signatures, any initials, any dates, check boxes, things like that. So up until this point, everything that we were doing to the document, adding information, things like that, that was all back-end information that your clients are not going to be able to see. And I wanted to address that right here because it's important to note that you will still have one last option to adjust anything on the back end before we send this out. So you may have gray boxes of text right here. Your clients will not be able to edit this or adjust this, okay? Anything that has a gray border is going to be essentially invisible once it's sent out. Now, your clients are going to have their very own border colors. So on the top left-hand corner right here, you'll see the signer number 1 is typically that DocuSign yellow-orange. But as we navigate through, and as you guys kind of saw when we are adding those recipients, each individual kind of gets their own color. So if I click on this drop-down right here, you'll see I'm orange and Scott is blue right here. And if I were to kind of swap back and forth, you'll see we have our own colors of signing. So for example, if I were to drag Scott over here, and I'm going to drag one for Morgan, we'll have a solid color of our actions right here. And if we see a solid color, this typically means that this is a required field for your signer to sign. If this is an optional signature, say maybe we wanted an initial, if you wanted a certain feature, function, perk, right? Say this initial is optional. I'm going to drag one over for Scott as well. If these initials are optional, we can go ahead and on the right-hand side, we'll have a checkbox called required field. And if we uncheck this, it'll turn gray, or sorry, it'll hollow out, but it'll still retain that color on the border. So this one is blue right here. And if I uncheck this right here, this will be yellow. So I wanted to kind of show this again because it's good to note that that we have a gray border and colored borders, because gray borders, again, this is your last call to adjust this document. No one else is going to be able to see that. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention is your left-hand side is going to consist of all the different actions or buttons or features, functions that your signers are going to be able to utilize. The right-hand side are going to be all of the options for those actions. So your tools on the left, your options for those tools are on the right. And it all depends on what we select, which will bring up different options for us. So for example, our initial, it'll bring up this certain set of options for us. More often than not, you'll be able to see that recipient. So if we need to swap it really quick and say, oops, this one's actually Morgan and this one's actually Scott, I can go ahead and adjust that very quickly. Again, as we are taking a look and selecting additional options right here, you notice how there's one section that kind of disappeared here, and that's the conditional fields. So again, each tool is going to have its own options. One other section right here, and let's kind of go ahead and There we go. It automatically applied those dates signed and the signatures right here. So one thing that I wanted to mention on dates signed is it kind of brings out a full like formatting. Let's see if I can kind of show you. It kind of shows a full formatted date and time stamp. So one question I get sometimes is, can we condense that to be a little bit smaller, because sometimes it runs over on wherever I place it on the form. Unfortunately, this is a automatically applied signature date stamp right here. It just gets applied right when the signer signs the form. But last but not least, I kind of wanted to show you one other cool feature right here, and this is going to be your drop down right here. So if I were to click over a drop down, if you have a number of different options, say that you want your signer to select, again, we drag the tool from the left. On the right hand side, you have all of your options for the tools. It's going to also open up a middle section right here for you to add your different options to select. So very easily, the default option is going to just say select right here. But as we start adding options, I can just say option number 1, option number 2, or option number 3 right here. And as I go ahead and add those, if I double click on this, I can kind of see a real-time view of what that looks like. And you'll see that option 1, option 2, option 3. Or if I say I want the default option to be 1 right here, we can select that as the default option. So, so again, play around with all these different buttons and functionalities to really work with you and whatever you're signing out. Again, there's a number of different options here for us, but for the most part, I think we're pretty good with our different signing options right here. If you are satisfied, but you still want to see what this looks like from your client's point of view, what we can do is on the top right-hand corner, we can click on Preview right here. And then on the left, you can view as each signer. So right now I'm viewing as Scott Leroy, and all your signer has to do is click on that start here, and then it'll follow you along to each side that you want to select right here. So as you see, and here's also that date and timestamp right here. It kind of bled into this drop down. Again, this is exactly what I was kind of talking about. So we may want to preview this a couple times if we are adding date stamps, just to make sure it doesn't bleed over. As this all looks good, I can go ahead and send this out right here on the bottom right-hand corner. And it'll say your envelope has been sent. Now, as we're taking a look right here, keep in mind to reorient ourselves. Where we were previously was inside of the documents section and the details section. We've entered inside of the envelope section now because we actually chose one of these documents to send out. Now, this envelope section will help us be able to manage who still needs to sign, where we're at in the process of getting our forms back. And if we're interested in wondering where we're at, we can click on that actual envelope. So right here, it'll say that we're waiting on this individual right here. This is the current signer. And once this signer signs, then it's going to go over to signer number 2 right here. This is, again, why I kind of really stressed on the fact of making sure that we do have signer 1, 2, and 3 instead of signer 1, 1, 1. Now, taking a look here, I should have gotten my Docusign, sign here already. And yep, it looks like we do. So as we're taking a look, I'm just going to pull over my email right here. This is what our signature looks like, our subject line. And this is that auto-generated email that DocuSign sent to me. So as we're taking a look at this right here, it'll just say review documents. Again, this will be from the client's point of view. So from here, we're shifting from what the signer is viewing. So clicking on review documents from your client. Nancy, the signer 123 is going to be the timeline of who is signing the document. So as we're sending this out, signer number 1 is the first person to sign the document. And then after signer number 1 signs the document, then it's going to be sent over to signer number 2. And then after signer number 2 signs the document, that's going to go over to signer number 3. So as we're taking a look right here, it says review documents. Again, this is from the client's point of view now. So again, Morgan Heitzma right here, we can agree and we can click on continue. And one thing that I love here is that your clients don't need to sign up for a DocuSign account in order to get these signatures back to you. It may ask them at the very end of them signing. However, it's not optional. It's not required for them. So clicking on start right here and just filling in this information. Again, your clients will be able to adopt a signature very easily, and then just follow that that timeline down the document. And then once they hit finish right here, it'll ask them if they want to sign up or if they want to just download that document that they just signed. So from the client's point of view right here, I just downloaded that document that I signed. And then we can kind of see it right here with those signatures. You see right here. Oops, there we go. So we have the signature, we have the date stamp, and also keep in mind that that your client doesn't need to download it every time they sign, because it's going to come back to them once all parties have signed. So yeah, so that's pretty cool to be able to send out for signatures. Once you have it signed, I'm going to refresh, go back to my DocuSign room right here. I'm going to refresh and just check my envelope one more time right here. Now that I signed, it should say that that signer number 1 has completed this signature. It should have a check mark, and now it's moved on to Scott to be able to sign right here. So as we are kind of taking a look right here, a couple other things that I wanted to kind of mention that I didn't quite mention on DocuSign 101, right? And that's how to invite individuals to your rooms to kind of help work on those documents with you, as well as how to add your clients to your address book for them to be able to populate very easily when you send out envelopes. So the first way is adding individuals. So this is great for team members. This is great for transaction coordinators. This is great for admins. This is great for those who are working on that actual document before it's being sent out. What we can do here is we can click on people. And if you already see some individuals or some boxes in here that you're unfamiliar with, please keep them in here. Chances are this is your market center connection, and your market center needs to be connected in order for your DocuSign to work correctly. So so if you see anything in here that anybody in here that you don't know, that's perfectly fine for now, because the chances are that's how your DocuSign works. As we're taking a look right here, we have invite on the top right hand corner. Giving this a click right here, we can choose an email, first name, last name, and what side of the transaction they belong to. Let's say they belong to the list and buy side. Let's just do list side right here. And all right, and you should also have a room role right here, but oh, there we go. That's probably what it was. Let's see if we can choose this right here. Yep. So once you actually have a valid email address that you're sending an invite out to, it'll also ask you what type of role do you want this individual to have. Agent owner is essentially what you have as your role inside of this DocuSign room right here. So this is probably the best, most access when it comes to being able to pull in those documents and work on it. So if I'm inviting this other individual to help me work on these documents, I can simply click invite right here. It looks like I'm already invited to this room, which is again, understandable. But again, once they accept the invite, then they're going to be brought into this people section right here. And this will allow you to be able to view who has access to this individual room right here. Again, this is for 123 Main Street. Now, again, once they have access, all they need to do is jump in, sign in, and they can jump into their room section right here at the very top, and then be able to find that room and then work on it very much like how we did within this last hour. Now, say you want to just invite, or sorry, say you just want to add contacts, right? So when it comes to the envelope process, it's a little bit quicker to just find them and pull them in. This is going to be by clicking on our name on the top right-hand corner, or our headshot, our initials here. Giving that a click here, right below Manage Profile, you'll have a section called Contacts. Giving this a click right here, this will allow us to be able to just simply add contacts. We won't need to invite anyone. We can just simply add them. We'll have a directory right here, but we're actually going to toggle over to the address book section. So now at this point, what I can do is I can just add another contact right here. So when I go to search for them, they'll just pull up. Last but not least, something that I also wanted to mention is something, again, a new update that happened recently, and that's going to be your packets. For those of you who've seen a change in your zip forms, sorry, not your zip forms, a change in your documents section. Let me see. Go back to our 123 Main Street. When you jump into your DocuSign forms section right here, this has now changed to what we see as packets. And before, I think that I believe this was called templates, templates and libraries. But now they've moved over to packets. And what's really cool about this is this allows you to be able to kind of create your own kind of folder. Say if you're using a certain set of documents like all the time, you can create your own buyer folder, your listing forms folder, things like that. And how we do this is up at the very top here, these 4 menu buttons, these are outside of your DocuSign room. So if we click on My Documents right here, inside of Forms, you'll have My Packets. And you may or may not have these packets already showing, but if you don't, that's perfectly fine. We can click on New Packet here, give it a name. And we'll be able to select which library we want to pull this from right here. I don't quite have a library, but what we can do is we can go ahead and select that right there. And then we can go ahead and manage our forms, and we can select our forms this way. Again, this is a great way for us to be able to pull in those forms. I don't think I have a forms library. Let's see. Let's see if we can find one inside of our room right here. So I'm just going back to our DocuSign forms right here. CAR. Let's do that one right there. So inside of our forms right here, we can go ahead and click on Manage Forms. Let me type in CAR, see if that pulls up. There we go. As we pull this up right here, it should pull from all those sections that are connected from your DocuSign forms right there. Not 100% sure why I didn't quite pull up right there, but again, with dealing with technology, maybe a quick refresh might do the trick for you. Taking a look right here, let's do the CAR since we were just talking about that. And now we can actually select and pull in specific forms right here if we so need them. We can hit save right here. And now at this point, again, really cool. We can click on this drop down right next to view. We can either view the document or we can create a specific template off of this document here. So really cool to be able to pull in your forms and create templates based off of those market center forms or those board forms right there. Again, I know there is a little bit of confusion on creating your own templates. or pulling in your own documents, I believe this section will only be for your board forms that we connected through our preferences here, your board and market center form. But it's really cool. Should give you enough to really make all these forms yourself without having to recreate them over and over and over. How do we know what exact forms are already uploaded? So again, as we kind of jump over here, that's a fantastic question. When we're inside of our rooms, when a document has already been signed, and let's see if I can go ahead and edit this envelope so we can kind of have just one signer, so we can kind of see what that kind of looks like inside of our room. Now, say if you ever need to make any edits with a envelope right here, we can simply give it a click. You should be able to view where it's at in the process. And say if I need to remove Scott, say we accidentally added Scott and we don't need to, we can click on this correct button right in the center here. This should pull us up into our envelope, and we can make any of those adjustments that we need to. So I'll start off right at the very beginning with the email side right here. And then as we hit next, it'll move over into the signing section where we can go and add these selected sections. Now, seeing as how I removed Scott from this right here, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that this enabled me to say, yep, perfect. So since we removed Scott as that last signer right there, what it did is it turned that envelope into a completed envelope. And now that this envelope is completed, and we have a couple of documents that are completed here, inside of our documents section, this will show up as a different color. So we have a PDF right here, which will show an icon. We'll have those power forms that we just talked about. And then we'll have a couple green signed icons right here. So now what we can do, we can drag these signed documents up here to the signed folder, the signed docs folder. We can remove this one because this was just an example. And now we have two signed documents and its very own signed folder. So going back over here to our KW command opportunity, and taking a look right here, we should have those signed documents right here, and it should have each one of those documents with that initial signed right here on the very bottom. So now we can very easily pull these in. Once we pull in these forms right here, we can submit to Market Center. All right, I think that'll be about it for our class here today. If you have any questions, just know I'm going to stick around for a few extra minutes and I help address those as well. For those of you who are watching this training, thank you so much. Please reach out to us at support@ScottLeroy Marketing if there's anything that we can do to help.